वो क्या होता? ये बोलना।
ये तो हम नहीं बता सकते कहाँ से आते हैं कहाँ नहीं जाते।
Womb, of course.
The doctor gave it. From the stomach.
The mother's genital parts.
बच्चे तो आप दोनों के संपर्क से वैसे।
Through sex, husband and wife meeting each other and having a physical relationship. That's how the babies are made.
I'm Mrs. Anthony Mary. I'm teaching here science for 7th standard. Our school has taken that and they have shown the few visuals about the abuse, how you must behave with the unknown people, the touch, everything we have shown.
Right and wrong touch. Ideally, little bit of sex education should be given from a very young age, you know. I think it should be for both genders. What is the things that should be avoided, or how can we keep ourselves safe, you know, and understanding that certain touches or certain gestures are not done.
Yes, I think it is very important. I was in an all-boys school and we were never even introduced to the term good and bad touch.
हम लोग को तो सिखाना है बच्चे को ही, नहीं तो कोई लेके जाएगा या तो कुछ करके जाएगा, दूसरे का भरोसा क्या?
The rule, or how we explain it to children here, is the swimming costume rule. The area that a swimming costume covers for a male or a female is the area that no stranger should actually approach or touch you.
We do have certain parents even protesting to good touch and bad touch. Why did my child have to know this? Which is so funny, because tomorrow if your child does have an issue with a bad touch, he is not even comfortable telling you about it. And now you have stopped him from telling us about it. And now he thinks there's no one he can tell. You have actually, you know, victimized your own child.
Okay, first things, we don't use the term good touch and bad touch anymore, because the touch can feel good. It's confusing. So it's appropriate or inappropriate touch. A child fondling your genitals feels good, so the child may get excited, which is what confuses the child.
What is that puberty? I myself don't know. What is that puberty?
One of my friend, when she got her first periods, she actually thought that she has cancer because blood is coming out. She didn't know what that is supposed to be, and she couldn't speak to her parents because she got scared that she's not well. So she was scared, and the only person she came up and told is me, her friend.
Peers and friends were the only safe zone where we could go and really talk to them, you know.
I had this one little boy in class 6 who came up to me and said, "Ma'am, ma'am, ma'am." So I said, "Yes." He says, "Ma'am, it stood up now." And I was like, okay, no issues, don't worry, if it stood up, it'll settle down too. So at the end of the day, he comes across to me and says, "Ma'am, yes, you're right, it did settle down." With that little experience, he's realized that every time he has an erection, one, it's normal, second, it'll settle down, he doesn't have to masturbate or do something about it.
We are not taught to acknowledge the bodies that we have. We are not taught about the different parts of our body that we have and how it's changing over time.
I had told Annie when he was around 11, 12 and all of that, you know, whenever you feel that you've pissed in the middle of the night, whenever you feel that you've peed in the middle of the night, come and tell me. Because that's your first nocturnal emission. You know, I don't want him to have a thing like, shit, I'm so old and I'm peeing in my pants. I want him to know that this is part of your puberty.
So male puberty wasn't taught to me, and male puberty was just about growing pubic hair in places I don't want to mention.
I do have a rough idea of it. I would say menstruation to start with. Then I would say, no, actually that's all I know.
It is very sad that the boys are not getting the same attention. What did they do wrong? Right? They need to know.
So if I suddenly start talking to the girls about wet dreams, or I start showing them a diagram with the penis, or the boys, they all go ooh, ah, and this thing. What I do is just that little bit I give it to them separately, because some schools want it, but then bring them back for a session together.
the sanitary napkin is considered a taboo, definitely because it's a female product. Like, come on, razors are men products and they're advertised, but female products like sanitary napkins must use the blue liquid and not the red liquid. It's also about men learning the right thing, because eventually they have to teach it to their kids.
That child in Tamil Nadu who was having her periods and was not wearing her pads, and she got stained, and the teacher then chastised her and gave her a cloth that was used for wiping the chalk on the board to use as a pad. None of it is dirty. Neither menstruation is dirty nor sex education is dirty.
Whether you have sex ed for your kids or you don't, your kids are going to be curious. And they're curious from the age of literally 1 and 2 when they ask you, why is that auntie so fat? Or where did I come from? Why am I not in your wedding picture? When will I get hair? Why are those two dogs stuck together? All sexual questions, just the child does not know that they're sexual at all.
They will get curious, but if we answer their questions, their curiosity will be saturated after a point, and they'll get comfortable with their sexuality. They're like a sponge. Once it's full, it's done. They'll move on to the next curious thing.
YouTube. Not YouTube. One of my friends told me about it, like when I was like 13 years old. Not even 13, 11 years old.
So as all curious teenagers, I use Google. In the beginning, for me it was just Googling and curiosity. And then I'd pick up random books of biology and reconfirm whether the science made sense with what my friends joked about.
The problem is, children often use porn or similar such mediums as their first encounter with sexual information.
So it didn't exactly give me a wrong idea about sex. Yes, it gives people a wrong notion about how sex works in general, because porn is just an entertainment industry, whereas sex is a very natural process. So it didn't give me the wrong idea, but it really did clarify as to how things actually do happen.
Okay, sexuality has always been there in India. We have it on our temples, and if you've seen some of them, they're very, very explicit. I have seen from homosexual sex to sex with animals to delivery, everything carved on holy temples.
From the childhood, I guess we are curious because in TVs and movies they hype the scene of having sex in the Suhagrat scenes. They hype it so much that they make it dark, the 2 roses and things like that. So we are curious to know what sex is, what intercourse is actually.
The media can play an extremely important role, which is the other side of the spectrum, which is in educating young people about the so-called normalcy when it comes to sexuality.
Once I saw a child, 8 years boy, orally doing something. So we asked through this one headmistress and all, we called the child and we asked, he told that I saw in the next house doing like this. Since our children coming from very poor family, their house is not big, so everyone they packed, maybe some joint family or some other friends, they have witnessed so many things through sight.
At the beginning of 5th year, I learned about abuse. The teachers give us warnings about these things. Stay away from boys, like don't go alone with a lot of boys.
Yeah, consent is the most important thing, otherwise sex is not sex, it's rape.
If you don't know that is not what you must do, then your partner can actually convince you and say that, this is normal, and you're saying no to it is abnormal.
If you're going to have people telling the children that sex is holy and well, God has given this to you to procreate and don't misuse it and don't, at one time you're giving them all these sexualized messages, and you've got these movies, you've got the songs, you've got everything which are, you look around, there's so much of sexualization around you, and then you're telling down and preaching down and saying sex is holy. No one's going to buy it. or you're going to mess up their minds completely.
Basically, the seminar was given like too late. Yeah. We were like 15 years old, so basically everyone knows about it when they're 15.
जब तक सेमिनार मिला तब तक हम लोग खुद प्रोफेसर बन चुके थे.
Whatever that so-called sex education class was, where I was taught about the two reproductive systems and what diseases followed, but how you get that disease was never told. So, and what do you do to prevent it was never told to us.
And we were shown videos and like bad pictures which I cannot erase from my memory. Yeah. Like ever.
Those scarring visuals really made me curious and really made me scared that okay, I don't want to indulge in this if this is going to happen to me.
You would be surprised to hear that couples have been married for 8 years, 10 years, but their basic knowledge about the human body, the physiology, what happens during sexual activity is very limited.
It's great to plan your wedding and what color lehenga and my color of the ribbons and the color of flowers and what I'm going to wear, but it's also very important to focus on the relationship.
Some patients who come who don't know what to do, and because they don't know what to do, both the partners are at sea.
What is sexual intercourse? Like most people don't know. Even if you ask women these days, it's surprising how they don't know that we have 3 holes down there where they think there are only 2.
Vaginismus is a condition where women have pain and discomfort during sexual intercourse. So 9 out of 10 of such women have not looked at themselves. They are not familiar with their own body, their own anatomy.
It's not about the woman lying down and the man doing what he has to and going away. That's not sex.
An elderly man had come to me and he was, I think, around 60. He wanted to have a sexual life with his partner, whereas his wife was of the opinion that we have had kids now, what is the need to have sex? In India, sex is often seen as a task. You have to do it because you need to procreate.
I remember when my grandfather was 75, 76, my grandfather and my grandmother were at it. I don't feel cheeky and all that. I think, my God, that's so sweet. At that age, they're able to express their love. Sex is just a form of expressing love.
Population statistics speaks for themselves that why we need sex education in India.
Parents are supposed to keep their dignity by talking maturely and sensibly in front of the child, but they don't understand that talking about sex is also a form of maturity.
More than half of my patients would not need me had they got the right information.
Sex is not a joke, obviously.
We need to know about it as much as we need to know about maths and science.
Parents से अच्छा teacher कोई नहीं हो सकता किसी भी subject के लिए.
I think at the end of the day, sex ed should be aimed at making you into a sexually healthy adult.
याद भी नहीं रहता मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ. आप
बोल आंटी आओ क्या 100 में लगाऊं
घंटी में बजाओ.
ओ घंटी में बजाओ क्या बोला आंटी आओ क्या.
I can describe sex as fun.
बम 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 बम. सेक्स क्या होता है? हम कैसे बात करें इस बारे में?
हाँ तो शादी होगी तो पता चल जाएगा और रोजी को तो पहले से ही सब पता है.
हाँ तो घर के बाहर होता है तो हम उतना थोड़ी ना बच्चे के पीछे घूमते रहेंगे कुतुआ लगा के.
सेक्स के बारे में बात कर रही हूँ और कुछ नहीं.
कट.